All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I have not posted any videos in some time. I tried to post one the other day, and that didn't work out so great. And I tried to do a live, but that didn't work out so great. So, anyways, welcome to my channel. Welcome to it's just a channel about the Lord, about my journey, about the journey, not just my journey, the Christian journey, the Christian woman's journey. I pray that every word that I give on here helps with your particular journey. So yeah, it's just about the Christian walk, and we know it's not easy. It's not always like you'd like it to be, but it's a beautiful journey. And so I come here as a mother, as a sister, as a cousin, as an aunt, as a friend, as a minister, as a teacher, as a businesswoman. I come here in many different forms, but I come here with transparency for the most part, as much as I possibly can. I know many times we say transparency, but obviously there are some things in our life that need to be kept between us and the Lord, or between us and our families. So you won't get all of everything. I won't be bearing my soul all the time, but for the most part, I'll give you what I can. So today, I guess I just want to kind of bring up some things that I've been getting from the Lord, over the past few weeks, actually. I don't know, maybe a month, maybe 3 weeks to a month. And, every morning, just getting up at 4 a.m. and getting my coffee, because you got to have your coffee, and sitting with the Lord and talking to Him. And it's always so quiet and it's so peaceful, and He speaks and He speaks and He speaks, right? And so one of the things that I think about is I think it's Proverbs, where it talks about God giving us His precepts, His precepts meaning His instructions. Another way that you can look at that is our daily bread. He gives that to us daily. And so He has the ability to give that to us daily. We have the ability to receive a real word from God every day regarding our lives, our situations, circumstances, all of that. We have that ability every day to get some new insight and instructions from the Lord, and to get instructions for how to navigate really difficult situations and really good ones, right? And it's really, really, really a blessing. But if you don't know, you just don't know. So anyways, what I want to do is just kind of give you some of the good word that I am getting every single morning. I had just gotten this journal, if you will. I don't know if you can see. Well, maybe this is better. I had just gotten this journal, and over the past couple weeks, I have filled up most of what's here. I filled it up completely. Just getting a word every day. I think the one day that I didn't get a word was yesterday. So anyways, there's a lot in here that I'll be talking about over the next few weeks. But I think this one is it's not, I don't have scripture here, but I will say this, this time that we have, this quiet time that we have in this pandemic, even though things are being lifted, I really don't know how long things will be the way that they are. So yes, they're trying to lift some of the shutdown, lift some of the stay-at-home order and all of that, lift some of the requirements and stuff. But the reality is there's still a lot going on with this virus. And I'm not going to actually talk about that. That's not why I'm here. But what I'm saying is that we have to use this time wisely, this downtime. Some of us don't know how long we'll be under this stay-at-home order. We don't know if the stay-at-home order will be more restricted at some point. Right now it's been loosened, but it could get more restrictive at some point. But we don't know. So I remember like I said, a couple of weeks ago, I was going at 100 miles per hour. At 100 miles per hour. I mean, even before, before a couple of weeks ago, I mean, maybe this whole year, from January and on, I have been doing maybe before that actually, but maybe about a year now, a year and a half now, I've been really going 100 miles per hour. I've been going pretty fast. I am driven by nature. I can endure a lot, and I can do a lot. Do I do a lot? All that I do, 100% perfect in every way? No, but I can endure a lot. I can handle a lot. I can accomplish a lot. I can do a lot, and I can bury myself in that work. I can totally bury myself in it. And so what I have been doing is getting up at 2:15 every morning, starting my day off at the gym, and then ending my day at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, just working, and then going to bed, coming home, getting myself ready for bed, going to bed, sleeping about a good 4.5, 5 hours, and doing it all over again. And I was doing this day after day after day after day after day. And at one point, I felt myself stepping into this provider role, this sort of this role like I was like maybe a man would, right? Like maybe a man who is a provider, who has responsibility, who have people who look up to him and who expect him to provide and protect. Maybe I felt myself kind of stepping into a role like that. And in that role, I almost felt a bit of pride, a sense of pride. I felt proud of myself that I was going out there and making this money and getting it, right, and getting it and getting it and getting it, and not sleeping, not being home most of the time, but not really doing some of the household duties and things of that nature, but really just going and going and going and getting it, and making sure that my mother had what she needed, and my daughter had what she needed, and everybody had what my nephew had what he needed. Everyone has what they need. And yeah, I felt some pride in that. Like, man, I'm the head of this household. And anyway, that's a heavy burden, a heavy sacrifice. And I felt like the Lord was telling me to he said exactly, my GPS in my car, she says, I call her BB, I call my car BB, because she's black. And her first name is Betty. Bonnie, I don't know, BB. All right, anyways, so she says to me, when I have my GPS on, she says, prepare to exit in half a mile, or prepare to exit in 0.4 miles, right? She's very specific when she tells me to prepare to exit. This particular day, when she said prepare to exit, it was like an echo in my head, like, prepare to exit. And I kept hearing her say it, prepare to exit, prepare to exit. And I was thinking, I was like, she'd say prepare to exit all the time. Why all of a sudden am I receiving this way? Why all of a sudden now her words prepare to exit are taking on a whole new meaning, right? And it was taking a whole new meaning because the Lord was trying to make me to pay attention. He was saying, prepare to exit. So I got home, and I pondered on that, and the next day I pondered on that, and I realized what he was telling me. And I thought, okay, what happens when we're preparing to exit? What do we actually do when we're preparing to exit off of a highway or off of the expressway, right? And so usually what happens is you when your GPS says prepare to exit, you begin to expect that exit to come up in exactly the timing that she says. Even if you're not really measuring the time, you are expecting to see this exit. And so I thought, okay, so I need to be preparing for my exit to come up. My exit is coming up very soon. The other thing is that you do is you prepare so that the transition from the highway or the expressway onto the local road is is a smooth transition. So you don't want to get up to your exit, and your exit is on the far right, and you're all the way on the far left, and then you try to hurry up and get yourself over to the far right, right as you're getting to that exit, that is not going to be a smooth transition. It's actually quite dangerous, and it's a setup for failure, right? So what do? We know that the exit is coming up. We know that it's on our right or our left side, far right or left side. And so we know, let me, as I'm approaching it, let me get over to the right side that I need to be on, so that it can be a smooth transition off the ramp, right? So the first thing we do is we begin to expect that exit to come up soon, very shortly. Two, we prepare so that it's a smooth transition. And three, we slow down. We slow down so that we're not doing 100 miles per hour, because some of us drive that fast. We're not doing 100 miles per hour getting off the ramp. That again is it's a plan of failure, right? Like, you're planning to put your life in danger and other people's lives in danger by getting off the ramp at 100 miles per hour, especially if it's a narrow turn off, or whatever, or especially if there is a stoplight coming up once you get off that exit, especially if you have to wait for oncoming traffic. If there is no stoplight, you have to wait for them in order to be able to turn right or left once you get off that ramp into the next intersection. So with that being said, I understood that the Lord was telling me that my next exit in my journey of life, the exit is coming up. There's an exit coming up where I'm going to get off of this fast road that I'm on. I'm going to get off. And so I need to prepare to get off of this fast road. And so again, like I said, you don't wait till you get up to that exit to start trying to go slow. You slow down ahead of time, and then you don't wait until you get up to that exit to move all the way from one side of the expressway to the other. You transition smoothly so that it works, and so that you're successful getting off the ramp. And so for me, I know that he was saying to prepare to exit, to expect this exit to come up because it's coming up soon, and to prepare so that it's a smooth transition off, and to slow down. And so it's best to slow down now than to slow down right at the exit once you get to that exit. So it's best to slow down right now. And so that's what I was perceiving that the Lord was telling me. And so he also told me that what I had been doing, going so fast the way that I had been going, was I was behaving as if I was preparing to be a husband. And that's not what I'm doing. I'm preparing to be a wife. And so he said, you're preparing to be a wife, a helpmeet, one who is complementary to your husband. And so I thought, okay, that's interesting. And then I thought, all right, well, okay, what can I do? And I understood that as I was running around out there, what was lacking and what was not getting done was the household affairs. My household, even though I was providing for it, I was still lacking in an area where things would not be getting done if it weren't for my mother, right? If it weren't for my mother being a helpmeet, so to say, I wouldn't have been able to run out there and do what I was doing all day long. And but if my mother was not here, that would mean that my home would suffer. My household duties would take a hit. The washing, the cleaning, the cooking, the just making my house a home, all of that stuff would it wouldn't be successful. I would be successful in one area and not another. And that helped me to understand that it's better with two, that it's just better with two people, because one can do one thing and one can do the other thing. And so that's what being a complement is about. It's about also, that's another teaching. I'll do that another day. But anyways, it's about being a complement. But in my particular situation, I don't need to necessarily be my provider. Why? Because God is my provider, right? He is in that provider role in my life. He is the one that I submit to. I come underneath his authority. I am prepared to follow Christ in with whatever direction he leads me. I am under his authority. I follow him. I respect him. All of that. So God is my provider. So if he's handling that, then I don't think he needs me to handle that too. So what do I need to be doing? And so that's what I've been getting an understanding of over the past few weeks as to what I need to be doing right now to make sure that I have a smooth transition from the highway into this next area of my life. And so one thing that I did was I slowed down. Me slowing down was a sacrifice. It was a sacrifice. And I as I say sacrifice, I want you to understand that that is the key word today. The key word in today is sacrifice. There was sacrifice to listen to God, to obey him, and to slow down and to begin to prepare for my next stop. That required sacrifice. Me getting up and running around as if I'm preparing to be a provider also requires sacrifice. Me getting up at 4 a.m. every morning to get my daily bread requires sacrifice. Me flipping the switch and going from one end of the spectrum to the other and trying to find balance in that requires sacrifice. And so this morning or last night or throughout the night, as I was going in and out of my dreams were playing and someone was speaking to my internal being. And the only thing that person was saying to me is sacrifice. Literally, my dream is playing like a movie and I am in it. And as I am conducting whatever it is that I'm doing in this dream, I am hearing and perceiving in my inner being, in my heart, sacrifice. And I know that God is wanting me to understand sacrifice. I'm not entirely sure I have had to sacrifice. Don't get me wrong. I have had to sacrifice in many areas of my life. But have I had to sacrifice when it comes to being attached to someone? Have I really sacrificed to the point where I know it? Like I know that I am sacrificing and it is taking something out of me. It is taking something out of me to be able to give to someone else. Let's not put this in the form of necessarily just marriage, but let's say in all relationships, in parent-child relationships, in sibling relationships, in friendships, in work relationships, as a whole, and in general, when we talk about relationships as a whole, relationships, true relationships can require sacrifice, even if you don't feel love for those people at that time. It can require sacrifice. Does that make sense? And so sacrifice is the key word that I'm getting from the Lord today and this morning is sacrifice. And so just reading what I kind of wrote in my journal this morning, as at 4:15 this morning, it said, throughout my dreams, I kept hearing the word sacrifice. It's not that people were saying it in my dreams or that I saw people saying it. It was being spoken to me on the inside as my dreams were happening. Why am I getting this word? Is God saying that marriage requires sacrifice, or is he referring to something else? Sacrifice, and I put the definitions here, the thing so surrendered or devoted, the surrender or destruction of something prized or desirable for the sake of something considered as having a higher or more pressing claim. To give up to let go, to endure, to offer up. For example, to give up my desires for someone else's. To offer up. To offer up was what I heard him saying to me. To offer up is to offer up something as a sacrifice. Think about Christ was offered up as a sacrifice. He laid down his entire life for the sins of the world. He laid it down sacrificially, intentionally. It was what he desired. He laid it down purposefully, again, intentionally, knowing full and well that he was getting ready to die for someone else, for others, and not just die for other people, but he was getting ready to die for a race of people that, one, did not know him, many did not know him, did not recognize him, did not appreciate him, and they rejected him. He was even getting ready to die for the very ones who had not only rejected him, but beat him, spit on him, hit him, ripped his clothes off of him, pierced him. He was getting ready to die. He knew prior to dying for them that they were going to do that to him, and he still died for them. So he knew that they weren't perfect. He knew that they knew not what they were doing. He knew that they were selfish. He knew that they were rebellious. He knew that they were sinful. He knew that they were wicked. He knew that they were liars. He knew that they were sinners. He knew everything about them. He knew that they were going to reject him. He knew that they did not know him. He knew these things, yet he was willing and ready and wanting to sacrifice his whole life for them. Even those today that do the same thing, that try to demean him, belittle him. They can't, obviously, right? He offered up himself. Let's talk about the sacrifice that God made. He offered up his son. The one that he loves, the one that was with him from the very beginning, that has always been with him. Think about if you have a child, and it's your only child, the only one that you have, that has been with you from the beginning, and there you are, getting ready to give that child up for everybody else. For people who don't even know you, who don't care about you, who reject you, who don't like you, and who don't know you, who don't love you. And you're getting ready to give it up for them. Give up your child for them. So a sacrifice, right? So sacrifice. You can't be selfish and sacrificial. It just, the two don't go together. It's like being in the fork in the road, and the road to your left is selfishness. The road to your right is sacrifice. You cannot walk down both roads. You have to make a decision at that fork in the road if you're going to be selfish or sacrificial in your relationships with people. And sometimes they require you to do things that you don't feel like doing. You know, yes, Sunday, I made a decision to be selfish. Not selfish in a way that I was taking from anyone else. It was selfish in a way that I knew that, first of all, I won't say that, but I was selfish in a way that I could have sacrificed. I could have sacrificed my own desires, although my desires had been getting put on the back burner all week. And here was one more opportunity where I could have put my desire to the side just one more time, just endured one more time, just endured a little while longer, and been there for something or someone. And then I could have gotten my desires after the fact. But no, I wanted what I wanted at that time. And at that time, what I needed was air. I needed to get out of the house. So much had gone on that week. I was tired of being in the house, and I needed to get out and get some air. And so I chose selfishness. But there comes a time in your life where you have to think about other people, not just yourself. And so you have to ask yourself, do I need to be, is this a point where sacrifice is better than selfishness? Sometimes selfishness is the better route. Not that your heart is meaning to be selfish, but you're a time where you're putting yourself first. So within our relationships, within this walk, even let's take people out and say our relationship with Christ requires sacrifice. That's part of bearing your cross. It's not just bearing the weight. You're not even bearing the weight of your sin. You're not bearing the weight of your sin. Christ bears the weight of your sin. What you're bearing is the sacrifice that it takes. Jesus sacrificed before he made it to the cross. He sacrificed his time. He sacrificed rest. He sacrificed food. He sacrificed all this time, times where he just wanted to get away. He couldn't because people were coming after him because they wanted what he had. You know, times where he just wanted to pray. He couldn't even get it because everyone wanted his attention, and they were like leeches. They were constantly wanting and wanting and wanting and giving nothing in return. And here Jesus is with all these people who just want and want and want. They just take and 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 take. And he has to give, even in spite of that. And when he's bearing his own cross in pain, in suffering, in humiliation, in shame, he's bearing his own cross to the mountain so that he can be sacrificed on it, so that he can hang from it. The very thing that he's getting ready to be hung from, he has to carry all the way to that point. And that was nothing but sacrifice. That was sacrifice to the very death of him. He sacrificed even in the Garden of Gethsemane. I know I'm probably not saying that right, but anyways, when he was sitting there pleading with the Lord, if he could take this cup from him, do so. But if not, let it be what it is. Him praying and him and blood coming out of him, out of his sweat. He's sweating blood because of the anxiety, because of the idea, because of what he knew he was getting ready to go through. And still he walked forward in it. So, sacrifice. Are we as a people really ready to sacrifice? I think about this pandemic and I think people couldn't even, selfishness came up so quickly because people didn't want to, and they still don't want to sacrifice, to give up some things for a while for the greater good of people. It's a selfishness there. It's a, hey, you can't keep holding me back. You can't keep stopping me from living my life. You can't keep taking my life from me. You can't keep taking my freedom. You can't keep stopping me from making money. You can't keep shutting me down. You can't keep telling me to stay at home. You can't keep telling me. Me. That's all that I'm perceiving and understanding, even now in this time, that even though this pandemic is killing a lot of people and a lot of things are happening, and we don't really understand the nature of this pandemic, which quite frankly, I almost, to me, the COVID-19 is actually it's almost as if it's a spirit. That it's a spirit that is flying through the place, looking to see who it can devour, who it can take over, who it can dominate, who it can take from, who it can infiltrate. You know, almost like it's just flying around to see who it can infiltrate. And so that's another conversation. But and I say that to say, sometimes I wonder if that's why, you don't really understand the nature of it, that it brings out different symptoms in different people, that it does different things, that it changes up, where they thought was these symptoms, but now it's these symptoms and these symptoms, and now it's these symptoms and these symptoms. It's almost as if this thing really has a mind of its own, and you really can't define it. You really can't control it. You really, as much as you want to get your hands around it to understand it, you can't. And so, being faced with something like that, makes me feel like it's almost more so a spirit in the form of a virus. But anyway, sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice? That is the question at hand right now. And I get a feeling that some of you are in a position right now, or will be faced with a position very shortly, if not today, where it's a matter of sacrifice, where your one sacrifice can save your marriage, your one sacrifice can save your friendship, or your one sacrifice can save your life, or your one sacrifice can save your job. And will you choose selfishness? So when the Lord told me to slow down, it required me to sacrifice. The very thing that I was doing that was making me, over $1,000 a week. I was making good money that was on top of my salary. I stopped. One day I was working, next day I was not. Slowed down completely. All of a sudden, this pandemic, this stay-at-home order was hitting me, whereas maybe it wasn't hitting me so hard. All of a sudden, it was affecting me. And I had to slow down, and I had to sacrifice, and I had to give up something that I desired for something that was more desirable, something that had a higher ranking, a higher status. I had to give up what I desired. Let me go back to the definition. I had to surrender something desirable for me for the sake of something that is considered as having a higher or more pressing claim. I had to give up and let go of some things. I had to endure and offer up some things, right? I had to give up my desires for the desires of my God, and for my future. For my future, let's not forget that. Can you sacrifice? Are you ready to sacrifice? Are you ready? And are you willing to sacrifice for the well-being of others, for the desires of others? Are you ready to put your desires on the back burner for someone else? It's something to think about, It's something to think about before walking into marriage. Are you very selfish to the point where it's blinded you and you can really only think about yourself and your needs? And you think about, even before you walk into marriage, are you wanting to go into marriage looking for someone who will do all these things for you, who will love you and who will care for you and who will provide for you and who will give to you and who will buy you gifts and who will take you on trips and who will accept you and who will do all these things and who will love you no matter who you are or what you are, and who will accept you for your good and your bad and things of that nature. And that's fine. But have you once sat down and said, am I willing to do the same thing? Am I willing to sacrifice and give to someone the very thing that I want? Am I willing to love someone unconditionally and accept them no matter who they are? Am I willing to sacrifice for them and give to them even when they're unlovable and unlikable? Because 9 times out of 10, if you're thinking about what you can get out of marriage, you're probably not thinking about how you may have some moments that are not so favorable, where you are unlovable, unlikable, just relentless, just mean, or just, and what would you want that person to do? Still love you, not leave you, not walk away, not leave you and walk away. You would want that person to still do good things for you, even though you are being wrong or selfish. And even if you were doing the things that you were doing and they weren't ideal and you were selfish and maybe you weren't likable that day, maybe you were having a bad day, you would want that person to understand. You would want that person to still be good to you, right? And if that person withheld themselves from you because of your actions, you would deem it unfair. If not taking it even further and building up resentment towards that person for doing it, right? So think about that. Think about if you were really, 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 truly ready to sacrifice in relationships. And if you don't know, practice in those relationships that are nearest and dearest to you right now. Practice in your friendships, in your family relationships, in your working relationships. Practice it. Practice it and do it more often. And I'm being held to this my own self. So, well, that's what I have in my Before Dawn series. I feel like it's me giving you what the Lord has given me before dawn every morning. And so there's so much more. This is just what I got today. But what I'm going to do is unload a lot of this to you over the next few weeks, I suppose. And so I pray that it blesses you. But if you have any questions or any thoughts, please leave them in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing you more messages, more of my understandings and my learnings from Christ. And I'm really looking forward to being of assistance and of help. And I pray that you understand, even in this, that this is a sacrifice for me, because quite frankly, I prefer to not do videos, but I do like them at the same time. So if it's for you, it's for you. It's fine, no big deal. Just don't judge me. Just let me give it to you and have questions, and we can talk about it. But bear with me. Some things, are not. They don't go along with the way that this world is, and I don't believe that the Lord wants us to be the way that this world is. So anyway, all right. Well, have a wonderful day. Again, subscribe if you can, and I pray that you have a wonderful day. And we'll talk again soon.